Clubhouse room without somebody going,
Yeah.
aren't you the guy that got the tattoo?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's start it up. All right, Connor, welcome. Man,
Thank you.
you have bounced onto the scene, and we'll get to that in a minute. You know, listeners just know it's an interesting tale about Connor, but before we get to that, we'll get to some more serious stuff. First of all, just where are you from?
So I am from Baltimore, Maryland, but I've been living in Chicago for the past 2 to 3 years.
Love Chicago. Did a couple of years there myself when I was young and loved it.
It is a great city.
Yeah, it's just too cold. It's a great city for young people. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, and it's a great city between the months of May and September.
Yeah.
And then otherwise it's
brutal. It's just you definitely got to hone your drinking skills.
Oh yeah. You have to be able to walk home from the bar without getting frostbite, and that just requires you being absolutely drunk.
Right. Yeah, I know it. Anyway, so let's just start with how you got involved with BitClout, and because I have no idea.
Yeah. So for me, I think I was looking at TikTok or something like that. My girlfriend, her name is Georgette, and she's she has like 100K followers on TikTok, and so we were both looking at TikTok, just talking through like ways that we can expand her followers, and then I came across some video that said something along the lines of, hey, look, you can invest in social media influencers and you can invest in your friends, and it's really cool. I was like, okay, well, that's got to be something. So I looked up BitClout, and then I was presented with the whole password sort of thing.
Yeah, the passphrase.
Yeah. The whole. Well, no, I mean, I'm talking about how when you first, before you can even log in, the website was under password protection.
Oh, right. Yeah, I agree. That was confusing as hell.
Oh yeah, and so I scavenged the internet for 3 hours trying to find this password, and then I came across it in like deep in some Reddit forum, and it had nothing to do with BitClout. Like the forum had nothing to do with BitClout. Someone had just said, oh, like check out this website, and I ended up finding it, and I made my account, and I have pretty much not been able to sleep since.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that. I propose that someone needs to start an addiction group for clouders. That's probably one of my best posts. People seem to jump all over that one.
Oh yeah, no, we definitely need a BitClouters Anonymous or something.
Yeah, I can't confess to be in that category yet, but I have devoted more than the normal amount of attention to this lately. So what about, I went through that same thing. That whole front page is naturally you go to bitclout.com.
Right.
And, people listening to this in the future will be like, what the heck's the problem with that? We just go to it like we go to twitter.com. But we're at a time where it says something like this. It's just a black screen with some little red type that says you got to have a password to access this website. And there's nothing else. And I'm like you, I spent half the day listening to Clubhouse rooms. And finally, you may have been the one that told me. I asked somebody, the group was like, what do? I don't get this. They told me, they gave me a link, simple as could be then. So why do you think, this is, in my opinion, a huge deal. This is, I think, going to be the thing that people talk about in 2021. Like at some point in this year, it's going to be such massive news. It may be because of some complete, the thing may fall apart and people lose money. Who knows what could happen, but it's going to create news. I can count on that.
100%.
Yeah. So if you can, we can foresee that. And surely the people building this could foresee it. Why would they launch like that? These are supposed to be some of the most genius developers ever. There's got to be a reason why they would put something out there in that fashion that's not intuitive at all. It's like you got to go dig through everything to try to get on. You think that was intentional?
I mean, I think there were probably a couple reasons why they did that. I think one of them being at the time, the nodes could not handle what would happen if it was just released to the public. And I think that they tried to take off the password for like 4 hours or something, and it just completely crashed the
Oh,
website because so many people were trying to get in.
so they're
And so
throttling us.
yeah, and so well, so then they put the password back on, and then it was last night, that they actually took the password off for good, or at least they say it's for good.
Oh, okay. So I've heard a bit. I just caught a couple of glimpses of that. I thought it meant maybe you don't have to have that 12-word passphrase or something, but that's what that's about.
No. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because at this stage, you really never sign out unless you want to sign out. Unlike most websites where you just dormant for a while or you refresh your browser, you have to log back in. I find that I can start my computer or restart my computer and I'm still on BitClout.
Yeah, and I don't know why they do that, but it's definitely amazing functionality that I wish more social media platforms had, because one of the worst things is getting logged out of your account and then trying to figure out what your password is or what your login
Right.
information is. And with
Right.
BitClout, it's just there.
Right. And we've all heard the stories of people losing their 12 words and
God, yeah.
I'm way into crypto. I've been following it for years. And so I've, gone through that torturous process of trying to figure out wallets and passphrases or the seed phrases and things, and that the general public still knows nothing about. I don't know to what degree you've dealt with that.
I mean, I have very little familiarity, not very little, but probably less familiarity than
Yeah.
you do with crypto. And I think,
Well, but it's that I don't even know what this means. Like,
mhm,
and I don't, and I think I guess point I'm trying to make is I feel like the deeper you get into it and start realizing the relative values and the scams that can happen and people can steal all your stuff, you start taking great care with it. And then when you start getting that sense of, oh my God, if I screw up, I lose this.
mhm,
The average person doesn't live in that world. They don't think to guard their passwords, much less a 12-word seed phrase. But
right.
this is blockchain, and all a person needs is that to hash your wallet, and they're gone with your BitCloud or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to watch. So that's something I guess you'll have to start thinking through as well.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely.
yeah. So now the other day I was in a clubhouse room and you and I talked, and I think you were moderating the room, and I just caught the tail end of you talking about working with brands and onboarding brands. So what are you doing there?
Yeah, so that is actually part of my newest venture. It's about 3 days old at this point. It's called Ripple Collective, not to be mistaken with Ripple cryptocurrency, which a
Right.
lot of people have pointed out. But we decided on the name Ripple because we came up with the kind of slogan for it first, and then Ripple just kind of fell into place. And the slogan for it is "Every wave starts with a ripple."
Hmm.
And pretty much what Ripple Collective is looking to do is to take influencers from different branches of the internet, whether that be TikTok, BitClout, Twitter, Twitch, trying to take these influencers who are already on BitClout, or who are just joining BitClout, and create sort of an influencer content house similar to what they have on TikTok with these, hype house and what have you. But with this, what we're trying to do is, because there are no real legitimate brands on BitClout right now, at least none that are necessarily confirmed, besides BitClout Pulse and BitClout List. But I know that I had a couple brands reach out to me after the whole tattoo thing, which we can talk about in a few
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Whenever you're ready, man.
But but I had these brands reach out to me, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And then now 80% of those brands I realized were most likely scams, looking for me to invest in their coin and then pull the rug out from under me. But so what we're looking to do with Ripple Collective is we're trying to be the bridge between brands and BitClout, and pretty much work with our team of influencers to appear as a friendly face on the platform so that these brands, when we reach out to them or they reach out to us at a certain point, we can help onboard them onto the platform. We can kind of begin the process of explaining the whole coin value, how maybe they should start investing in their coin beforehand, giving them the pointers that they need to be successful on BitClout, and working with them on that. So, we do have some brands that aren't ready to go on BitClout yet. They're not totally sure what to expect from it, but they still want to dip their toes into it. So we've had some brands reach out to us saying, we're not going to make an account yet. We're not going to, an official account. We're not going to take out, we're not going to tweet out our public key, but we're wondering if we could send you some stuff and you could post some pictures wearing it, say something about us and that sort of thing. And so, those are kind of the two sides of the same coin, but those are the two different ideas that we have on kind of bringing these brands onto the platform for Ripple Collective. And then the other side of Ripple Collective is kind of a startup incubator slash quote unquote venture capitalist firm, where with that, with the sponsorships and the funding and the investments that we do receive for Ripple Collective, what we're looking to do is to start ventures within Ripple Collective, startups and podcasts and multimedia ventures that, we can then kind of expand Ripple Collective to begin being not just onboarding brands onto BitClout, but actually being an influencer house that is recognized on multiple platforms.
Wow. That's a big endeavor that's just only a few days old.
Yeah, it definitely, it's been a lot of work so far, but we're pretty excited for what we have planned.
Yeah. So the venture part is like a provocative statement, that when I first heard it, I thought, wow, this could be used in a venture style. And in a way, it seems like as a user, you're a venture capitalist in a way, right? You're betting on a lot of horses. A lot of them are going to lose, but some of them may pop. And that's VC kind of at its heart, right?
Right.
So seeing how people leverage this, there can be vast sums of money involved. It's all Bitcoin and, or I guess BitClout, which our view or what we're hearing now is, well, it's not a coin. It's just how should we put it? It's a utility on the blockchain, on the Bitcoin blockchain. I don't know. Is it like Starbucks points to the dollar?
Yeah, I think Starbucks points is a really good way to explain it, actually.
Yeah. Or however, points or units. But, and you mentioned that when you started talking about brands, I start thinking about, what are people dealing with? What are companies dealing with now when they consider entering Bitcoin and putting it on their balance sheet? And so, what I have learned is that it's a big move. Like it's one thing for you or I as just individuals to just decide to buy some Bitcoin and hold it. And then we have to figure out how do we custody that, keep it safe. But a brand could have, let's take, MicroStrategy, which has now well over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. I think probably more in the 1.5 billion. I'm just estimating. They have to go through an awful lot of internal policy making to figure out who's going to control this. No one person can have the keys to that. And so they have to go through these protocols and multi-signatures and having something that says, we have to have, 5 of 7 people agree to move any amount of this Bitcoin and go through these pretty intense procedures. Now, the reason I say that is you made me start thinking about, well, this represents a burgeoning, not an opportunity, but it's the start of what could become the same thing. So take one of your brands. Let's say you onboard General Motors, and they start, or some big brand that can generate just an enormous amount of market capital on this platform. So, all right, let's Tesla or Elon Musk. Or I guess I need to speak purely in a business fashion, in a an entity where there are multiple stakeholders. That looks like an opportunity for you to work with them to develop their strategy for custody, like helping them understand you need to consider that you're going to have, even though this isn't like logging on to Twitter, and you're going to have, people have to take great care of their Twitter credentials, because they certainly don't want to have their Twitter hacked. But now there's a new layer of, they may have a market cap of what could be hundreds of millions of dollars someday in BitClout. How do you manage the custody of that BitClout so that one individual in the company doesn't just convert it to Bitcoin and off they go? That's something to
Yeah,
consider.
no, definitely. And I think we're probably going to see something like that happen, as BitClout becomes bigger and there aren't really any rules or regulations in place for BitClout. And really there aren't that many rules and regulations in place for, cryptocurrency as it relates to these brands and like you said, the custody. And so, I mean, I don't know. I think that's definitely something that we're going to see in the future, and it'll be interesting to see if that scares away these brands, if they decide that it's just not worth it, or if it's just a small hiccup in a much more intricate and in a much more intricate, that's what I'm looking for. Gosh, completely lost my train of
Well,
thought. I'm
there's
sorry.
certainly I kind of foresee a couple of things where, as more companies enter Bitcoin, they're going to have to think of these things anyway.
Hmm.
But as you, as a branding consultant or an onboarding consultant, would be on the other side saying, well, you got to consider this for your BitClout too. I mean, I'm thinking ahead, and maybe there's some custody issues with BitClout that we haven't even imagined. I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, there definitely have to be, just because BitClout in and of itself is something that I hadn't even imagined was possible to successfully accomplish, and now it exists, and now we're using
Mhm.
it. So, of course, there are definitely going to be more problems and questions and comments that arise from as BitClout is more adopted into the mainstream. I think we're going to be presented with things that we could have never even dreamed of, problems or solutions that we just had no idea existed. And I think one
Yeah.
of those solutions might end up being in the nonprofit space. I think that the nonprofit space could tremendously benefit from utilizing BitClout.
In what way?
I think that the ability for pretty much these users to invest into a nonprofit, to donate their money and kind of raise the clout of these nonprofits, while also giving them money for them to utilize in their efforts. I think it'll be game changing. And I think that Diamond Hands is definitely recognized, just from a little bit of what we've seen them say and talking to Maybeam and people like that. I think that they've recognized that the nonprofit space could definitely benefit from BitClout, and so I think that they're probably right now creating new technology, new ways for those nonprofits to really thrive on the platform. And kind of like we were just talking about, I imagine that those things are maybe ideas that we haven't even come up with yet,
Yeah.
that they're going to be presenting things to us that we're going to say, wow, like what a fantastic idea that
Mhm.
didn't exist, a month ago.
Right. Right. Well, look, just the past week, you've started a company that you probably never envisioned a week ago. But I have found myself in some discussions with just various people on Clubhouse, really just talking more like you and I are. I can't tell you how many times somebody has said something and everybody else goes, wow, man, I never thought about that. That's a good idea. And
Mhm.
it's like new ideas are coming up, and and that's what's been cool, watching people just think of new things and ways that this thing can be used. It's pretty interesting. So you brought up Diamond Hands and Maybeam, and that's I'm pretty clear when I see Diamond Hands, because it's like the main first account you encounter that's sort of pinned to the top of this thing for now.
Right.
And we all kind of know that's the developer handle. But what is Maybeam? How does that play in? So, explain to my listeners what that would be.
Yeah. So, I mean, Maybeam, from what I can gather, is that she is the pretty much head developer of BitClout. Leading the team of developers that exists at Diamond Hands. One interesting thing that I actually found out a couple days ago is that her profile picture is that of I completely forget who or which entity, but it is an AI. It's a picture of an artificial intelligence woman, and I think a computer like a computer generated woman that is that is AI.
Hmm.
And so like that's not an actual picture of Maybeam. That is a picture of some AI robot out there
Hmm.
that somebody created, which I just find very interesting. But Maybeam, I I don't know if we're gonna ever find out, who she really is. I don't know if I don't know if we're ever going to find out who Diamond Hands is, but I think that we have to, especially if this is going to be a successful platform.
Yeah.
I think that at some point, very very soon, they're going to have to lift the curtain and kind of
Hmm.
show us a little bit more, so that a lot of these skeptics can say, okay, maybe it's time that I join BitClout.
Right. Yeah. So, I woke up in the middle of the night and it hit me. I'm like, Maybeam, that's the same forwards as it is backwards.
Yes. Yep.
And then, as you were talking about AI, I'm thinking, well, what if they had never made a female picture? We would never have associated a feminine context to it and thought more generically about the name. I don't know. There's just all sorts of mysteries to try and
Yeah.
figure out. Yeah.
I completely agree. I think it's shrouded in mystery, but that also it makes it a little bit appealing, because you're like, who are these people, and look at what they've created.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard, I just certainly looked at, I think to me, one of the most um, genius things about it was the actual propagation of Twitter feeds over or Twitter profiles over to the platform,
Hmm.
because it's going to create, in my opinion, the biggest sort of greed and FOMO by influencers. Like who could ignore that? So, Peter Schiff, who's always hated Bitcoin, I think is going to end up someday having to take advantage, because I think people are going to, out of spite, drive his BitClout price so high that he's going to have to start taking advantage of it. Well, he's really taking advantage of Bitcoin in a way when he does it.
Hmm.
But I mean, maybe, I don't know. There's just all kinds of things where I think big people are going to go, I need to be a part of that. They see their value go up, so to speak. Um, and I sure have talked to a lot of people in the past few days who seem to claim to have some inside knowledge on some influencers that are ready to jump in. And I'm like, okay, well, when are they coming? What's the holdup? And I don't know. It's just we're going to learn, but I'm excited to hopefully get some of those people on here. Some of these, I want to talk to some influencers, big ones that decide to come and find out what turned them on about it. Like, what's their plan? Like, what did they go through to get on? What scared them? All these things. So we're going to find out. But at the same time, I might be speaking to a pretty damn big influencer right now, because you're going to go down in history, or if you haven't already, as being the first person to get a BitClout tattoo. Why don't you, and I'll let you explain where you got it. And, I think when people join the platform, they're going to find out where you got it.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is the goal of all of it is to get that tattoo parlor in Chicago just the most business that they could have ever asked for. But
And
um,
how do you think it's gone so far?
Well, okay, so I came across completely randomly, but my tattoo artist made a BitClout because I told him about it as I was getting the tattoo. I said, they said, "Why are you getting this brand tattooed on your butt?" And I said, "Oh, well, they're giving me $50,000." And they were shocked. The tattoo artist, they were like,
Yeah, I'd say
can
more
we
like you earned $50,000 instead of they
right.
gave it to you.
Yeah, yeah, but I told them, I said, I have these folks who invested $50,000 into my coin, and then I had to explain the whole coin process to them, and they were like, wow. And so then I completely randomly came across a post on BitClout that said, "Hey, I tattooed Connor Mitchell on Saturday," and I looked at the profile and I was like, that's Eddie, that is him,
Awesome.
that is the guy
That
that
is
tattooed me.
cool. Yeah, I saw a picture and I thought, was that real or fake? And then I saw your girlfriend's post of her taking a picture of you getting it. And then it started unfolding and I heard people talking about it. I was like, holy crap, this guy really did this.
Yeah, I was surprised too, because I'm not a really big tattoo kind of guy, at all. But the way that it worked, I guess I'll tell the story now. Is that
I want to hear it, man.
uh, at the beginning, when we first got on BitClout, my girlfriend Georgette, she was verified
Mhm.
within a day or two, because she had 111,000 followers on TikTok. She's not verified on TikTok. She's not verified on any other social media platform, but for some reason, BitClout verified her. And then that caused a huge uh, wave of people to come to her profile and begin following her and investing in her. And so she posted, on BitClout, and she said, okay, if whoever invests, I think it started with 1 million. She said, if anyone invests $1 million into my coin, I will get a tattoo of anything you want, anywhere on my body except for my face.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
yeah, people ate that up.
But they didn't get to it, right?
They did not.
Yeah.
No. Well, what happened was, people loved that, and then Andy Arts, who goes by Arts on the platform, he's an investor at Social Capital. He commented on the post and he said, "Oh, do you want that in USD or BitClout?" And I remember I was next to her when we got that comment, and we looked at each other and we said, "Oh my God, is this man really going to invest $1 million into your coin for you to get a tattoo?"
Oh my God.
And so we started freaking out, and then we were posting about it and all that, and then BitClout Pulse reached out to me and they said, "Hey, all right, how much money would it take for you to get a tattoo?" And I said, "Okay, what would the tattoo be of?" And they said, "We want you to get a tattoo of BitClout Pulse and the logo on your ass." And I said, "Okay, if you invest $50,000 into my coin, I'll get the tattoo." And I really did not think that it was going to happen.
And now you're hating you didn't ask for 200,000 or something like that, huh?
Oh yeah, now I'm wishing it had been a million,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I think I'd do it too for a
oh
million.
yeah, 100%. Um, but yeah, I said, okay, $50,000, and then they said, really? And I was like, yep. And then they said, okay, give us a few minutes, and then about an hour later, I got a message from them, and they said, okay, we found the money. We're going to send you a contract, and once you sign that, we'll invest the money, and then within 48 hours, you have to get the tattoo. And so I signed the contract, and I specifically remember that I had to get a tattoo that was at least 1 inch in height and 4 inches wide, and that'll be important in a few minutes because
Well, there's no way to
I
do it unless it's a big tattoo. That's a long logo.
oh yeah, yep. And so I signed, they invested. The next day I went and I went to the tattoo parlor and I was showing them the design, and they said, okay, how big do you want it? And I said, 1 inch by 4 inches. and they started trying to draw that out on paper and like trace it, all that sort of stuff. And they said, yeah, so the way that it works is if it has to be a minimum of 1 inch tall, then for it to be proportional, it's got to be 7 inches long.
Wow.
And so I was like, a 7 inch tattoo. But I did it. I said, go for it. And they tell you that getting a tattoo on your butt hurts. They are right.
Wow.
It is very painful because I learned that the tattoo artist, because there's so much fat and on your butt, that they have to push a lot harder to get the ink to stay in there. So they're jabbing you deep with this, tattoo needle. And then, and so like, the normal part of the butt, like it hurt, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. And then they got close to the tailbone. And that I almost passed out. That was one of the most painful things I think I've ever
Wow.
had to go through. And they stayed on that tailbone for like 2 minutes, and I was just trying not to like bite my own tongue off. It was just so
Wow.
painful. But then I got the tattoo, and then I posted, that infamous "I'm all in, are you" post, and then I got verified, and now I am just trying to spread as much positivity and
Mm-hmm.
and content as possible on BitClout.
Well, you're certainly going to go. You've certainly gone down in history, and you probably have the most viral rear end on BitClout, and probably will for a long time.
I hope so. I hope so. What I've been thinking about actually is getting a billboard in Los Angeles and putting that post up on the billboard, and then on like the other part of the billboard, it's just saying like bitclout.com, and
Yeah.
just having that post and then the way to get to the website. And I just feel like that would be interesting. You're driving down the highway, you're in Los Angeles, and you look up at a billboard, and there's just somebody's butt with a tattoo on it, covering this giant billboard. I would be intrigued. I would
Yeah.
definitely be like, what is that about?
So you wrote a pretty good article about it. I saw in an email, I think yesterday, and I thought, a lot of times I think people see photos like this. Like my first impression was like, this is somebody off a Jackass or something, some dude that's like, I'll do anything, dude. And it's just a crazy bet or whatever. And you did it as a financial transaction. You sold ad space on your butt. I think probably BitClout Pulse got really good value out of that because it's going to be seen so much over
Yeah.
such a long period of time. So 50,000 really probably wasn't that much. Not to make you feel bad or anything, but you're going to reap benefits, I think, as well. So, but you wrote a really good article that, I applaud you for actually kind of telling the jokes before everybody else could. And you did a great job of that, but you also brought up some very provocative questions about what this means for the future of BitClout and how people will use it. How much skin real estate will people give up for BitClout? Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, what I believe is that this is not the first time that someone's going to get a tattoo for BitClout. Or sorry, let me rephrase. That was the first time that somebody got a tattoo for BitClout, but it won't be the last time. I think that, like you said, there's going to be a lot of profiles that come up that are probably going to be like jackass-esque, individuals who are saying things like, I will get a tattoo on my face if you invest this much money in me, and that'll be all of their content. And that is, that's perfectly fine. But I do think that the platform will lend itself to people doing crazy things for money. And, that's not really the route that I want to go. I was fine doing it the one time, but I can guarantee you that this will not be the last time that
Yeah,
something
I
like this
agree.
happens. And but yeah, and also just to like speak a little bit more too about the decision to get the tattoo. One thing that I really thought about before signing that is, like what will it do for me, but also what could it do for BitClout? And I believe that, as silly as it sounds, getting that tattoo was just one step in the right direction of legitimizing the platform. And I know that that does sound silly because I got a tattoo on my butt, but I think that, along with the caption, that I thought for hours about what am I going to write for this caption. And in the end I decided on the sentence, "I'm all in, are you?" And I think what that means is that, like, am I all in on BitClout? No, I did not take my entire life savings and put it into BitClout. Um, but I am all in the fact that I fully believe in this platform. I fully believe in its ability to become the most used social media platform in the entire world. I think that they have a shot. And so when I got that tattoo, I wanted to show people, I wanted to say, I'm not scared of BitClout. I know that there's some uncertainty. I know that, we're not 100% sure about it, but I'm ready to give it everything I've got. And I think that if everyone else on the platform gives BitClout everything they've got, then BitClout will flourish.
Wow, that's very passionate, and I don't think most people would have expected that in looking at that picture. That's pretty cool.
Definitely not. I don't think that people really expected a reason for the tattoo, but I'm not somebody who likes to do things, on a whim. Um, Although with that tattoo, I have to admit that, the moment that I said $50,000 and they said okay, I was like, oh, okay, like $50,000.
Yeah.
But then I really, really, before I signed the contract, I really thought about it, and
Mm.
I thought about what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do this. And yeah.
Man, that's awesome. And so, fast forward to the future, I see you standing on stages at BitClout conferences as, keynote or guest speakers, but you got to overcome this now. So now you've got to actually build on this platform.
Exactly.
And,
Yeah.
so I like your ideas with Ripple, and I see a lot of great opportunity there. And I think it's going to be a cool thing to watch, how you grow with this thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
because I want your tattoo to be oh, by the way, you might not know, but I got a tattoo of BitClout Pulse on my ass near the end of your talk.
exactly.
That's what
Exactly.
the goal is. So I hope that comes true for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right on. Well, Connor, man, this has been awesome. And quite honestly, I wasn't expecting what I heard, but I think it was cool.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So thank you.
Cool. All right, man. Well, it's great knowing you, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you better. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other on Clubhouse, and who knows where. Maybe I'll be sitting in the audience watching you give a keynote.
Hey, if you are, I will make sure to invite you up as the first person that interviewed me about this tattoo.
I know, man. It's historic. I'm turned into a historical figure already.
Right? Yeah. And that's the easy part. The easy part is getting the BitClout Pulse tattoo. You know, that's the easy part. The hard part is, where do you go from there? Like, everyone, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Connor, are you going to get another tattoo?" And I said no. And so I think now the hard part begins, at least for
Yeah.
me. And it says, okay, I got the tattoo. That got me verified. It got me some new followers, but now I have to create in order
Mm,
to keep them and in order to gain new followers. And
yep.
so that's why I'm just trying to come up with, whatever I can uh, to still be relevant on this platform. because
Yeah.
I do think that people have this attention span where they will get bored of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you certainly have the passion for it. So I'm looking forward to the future.
Thank you. Thank you
All right,
very
man.
much.
Thanks, Connor.
All right.